What's good, RBY? It's Pack here. As I promised in the last episode, we're going to be watching FC versus Shellnuts. This is a hot match that just happened last night. Both of these players have been around for a long time in RBY UU. FC is currently on a great run at the time of this match, going 5-0 in the RBYPL season that's going on right now. And Shellnuts has also been around for a long time and has put up several solid results and won a couple UU tournaments himself. It's going to be an interesting set to see how it goes. Starting off, we have an interesting lead matchup. Kadabra is not a Pokemon you see a lot anymore, which may sound surprising if you haven't played UU since the last iteration, where it was arguably the #1 Pokemon, at the very least top 3. The main issue with Kadabra is that without Tentacruel and Wrap existing, it finds a lot of hard situations where it can't really come in easily and can't really find turns to recover, and its damage output isn't strong enough to justify it, especially when its 1v1s are weaker with how frail it is. It can still be useful in the modern day where you will use it to fight the opponent's Hypno, so your Hypno might not have to. However, there are other mons that can also contest Hypno in a similar way that can also do other things while Kadabra can kind of struggle. This is going to be a lead matchup where it can be useful because it's going to perform a similar role to what an Electabuzz would be. However, it is kind of hard to justify a lot of the time. It's not seeing a lot of usage. FC, however, has been using it a lot this tour and seems to be a little bit higher on it than a lot of people. Turn 1, there's a couple options here. Typically, back in the day, you would have seen just trading T-Waves, right? They both just want to get the other one paired. In this case, Body Slam is a good play from Shellnuts because you're going to deal significant damage to Cadaver and threaten the paralysis. FC is going to be predicting that T-Wave and is going to come in with Golem. But that Golem is not going to go paralyzed, so it's not going to get punished for switching into Slam. And Shellnuts is going to try to pivot in on the incoming Earthquake with Gyarados. We're going to see an FC reads this and hits it with a Slam or a Rock Slide. And it is also going to eat a Slam that's also going to go unpunished. So both players do get a very good Slam off, but neither of them find success from it. Hypno is now going to come in to answer the Gyarados. This is an interesting play, in my opinion, because I don't think coming in on Gyarados' Hypno is exactly very reliable. You can see just how much damage that Hydro Pump did to Hypno. One more crit or two of those can instantly just take out the Hypno, and Gyarados isn't really at a range where it's going to be completely beaten by Hypno either. Although, if you do just make this trade, Gyarados being gone does increase the strength of FC's Golem a lot, and you won't have to fear Gyarados versus FC's Lapras, so this might just be a trade they're willing to make. But this can be very scary to switch in if that pump crit. The pump is not going to crit, though. We are going to get the pair off, but Hypno is very low for FC. Going to switch it out, trying to rest it up later, and Gyarados is not able to get another attack off. There's a good chance it was another Hydro Pump, so that wouldn't have mattered too much. Though if Shell did read this with a Slam or T-Bolt, it could have been pretty disastrous. Now, FC is going to try to read a switch out with the Sing, but Shell predicts this and goes ahead and punishes it with the T-Bolt, so FC is not able to get a sleep off. Now, after threatening that one time, Shell is going to presume that Lapras is just going to commit to a T-Bolt, so we're going to go and now bring the Buzz in, which is an excellent play, but FC is going to go for the Sing again, which is a little bit greedy, but would have paid off if not for Sing's terrible accuracy. So the Buzz does make it in. I'm going to go back to Gyarados trying to predict the Golem, but the Lapras proceeds to click. It's going to go for the T-Bolt this time, and we are going to get damage out on the Lapras. So this Golem did a lot of work this game. It really single-handedly did a significant amount of chip to Lapras and Hypno. Kang's going to come in, kind of act like a Tauros and clean out the Lapras. While you could have gone Golem on the Predict the Hyper Beam here, it is kind of a rough scenario because Kang could have just Body Slam predicting that, and now your Golem risks being paired. So we are just going to go ahead and let the Lapras go here. Dragonite is going to come in, which can be very scary to have to use as your Kangaskhan answer with the existence of Blizzard and Blizzard crits. But Kangaskhan lately doesn't always want to run Blizzard, so this can be an advantageous scenario depending. We are going to go ahead and Slam, predicting a switch out, while FC is going to get the T-Wave off. I don't think there's a significant risk to clicking Blizzard as Kangaskhan here. I don't know if we need to go for that. But That is what's going to happen here. We're going to get the pair off on the Kangaskhan and kind of neuter that threat, though we did get some damage from the Dragonite. Lapras is going to come in from Shell so that the Kangaskhan doesn't take further damage. Now this is a very tricky situation for FC to be in. Sleep is still on the table, so if you switch out, you could get something very important that gets slept. And if you stay in, you could get Blizzard and Dragonite just dies here. I think a good play would probably be to let Kadabra go if I had. It depends on what the last mon is, because Shell still has Hypno. So if you need to answer that Hypno and the last mon isn't going to be great at doing that, then you kind of need the Kadabra. So it's going to be a tough situation. I'd say most likely go Hypno actually as FC here, because whether it's Sleep, the Hypno's already pretty chipped. You have Kadabra to answer Hypno. And if it's Blizz, you will take a Blizz at this percent, I believe, and you can threaten back with Sleep or Psychic. Let's see what happens. FC is going to go for damage, so I'm presuming that whatever this last is going to be some kind of normal or an Articuno sort where you really need that damage to go off. So that Dragonite is going to fall. What's going to come in afterwards? It is going to be that Hypno. Now we got further good damage in the Lapras. So let's see what this final Mon is that can really take advantage of this. So yeah, now that Lapras is chipped, and Kadabra should be able to handle this Hypno. So this could be a great setup for the endgame. And yeah, see, this is exactly the kind of situation that Kadabra wants to find itself in nowadays. Is it going to get it completely uncontested? Because Kadabra can tank one hit at the end, potentially. Let's see if we can get a recovery off. Hypno is not going to be paralyzed, so we might end up leaving Kadabra damaged, which is going to give FC at least one less attack to work with. Good play on Shell to bring in the Kangaskhan here. We are punishing this so we're not letting FC potentially get a full pair of Kadabra here. This will allow Kadabra to potentially get damage on the King, but ultimately Shell has decided this is the trade he wants to make, and he can use Hypno as a sack later. And the Kadabra's going to full pair anyway, and we're going to kill it with Earthquake. So this leaves Golem and whatever the mystery last is, which is going to turn out to be Persian. So we are going Persian. This makes sense. So if you stay in as Golem, you could potentially Blizzard. So we're scouting what the King moveset is right now. And we're going to, switch back to Golem so we can scout whether there is a counter. And it was, in fact, a counter, so that scout did pay off. So we have determined, but now that's EQ counter, that we're going to go Golem first to fight Kangaskhan, so we don't risk getting countered and our Persian blows up, and we're going to bank on a Persian endgame. It is going to be rough for Persian, though, because it does have to get through a full health Electabuzz, and whatever the last is, we are going to make sure this Kangaskhan has gone to open for it. But depending on what last is, this could be tough. But Persian can always just slam together some crit hyper beams and make it work. There's that Hypno sack that's going to go. Lapras is going to come out after the sack to threaten the Golem. We kind of have to bring in Persian here because we just need to break through as much as possible. If we let Golem die here, we're just not getting the most value here. And Persian's health does not matter terribly much at this point. We are going to not be able to kill the Lapras. The Lapras lives with 1% left, and that is going to be the game right there. Well, the Blizzard misses, but still, we should be able to seal this one out on Shell side. Yeah, last Articuno. Most likely would not have been able to work for Persian there with Articuno and Buzz in the back, but it could have been possible. Some pair crits and uh, some Thunderbolt pairs and crits and Hyper Beam crit and Buzz. It could have happened. But Shell had that game pretty sealed away. I think that play with the Gyarados was very solid and really sealed this one out. It's going to be a strong start for Shellnuts. FC might be a little surprisingly nervous here. They've been pretty uncontested this entire tour. So this is a strong start from Shell. Let's see what's able to happen. I'm going to go ahead and mute the music on all of these. Didn't do that before. Alright. So game 2, we're going to see Shell bring in another Buzz lead. It is a very consistent lead. Seems to be a fan of it. Can be put. It does have pretty solid matchups all across the board for the typical leads. Dodrio, Rapidash, Haunter's pretty safe, but it can have some strong counter leads such as Dodrio or Dragonite. So you can't always spam it, but it's a pretty safe lead. We're going to see it again, and FC is going to go for it too. So just like game 1, where the presumed layer 1 play was the T-Wave trade, we are going to see that T-Wave trade this go around. And now they're just going to try to break through each other, see who can end up with a little bit of momentum after the lead. This B slam pressure is what's kind of allowing, if there does happen to be a Dutch trio in the back, it can't really come in to keep your Electabuzz because you don't want further mons to get spread with the pair. You'd rather just your lead that you're throwing away anyway to take this. So they're just both going to trade out Electabuzzes, and we're going to see how it's going to end. Not looking good for Shell. Left FC with basically a full health Electabuzz. The Dutch trio is going to come in. That wasn't able to that wasn't able to before because of the B slam pressure. We are going to let the Electabuzz die here. It has done its job. This makes sense. And if you do have a flying answer to Duck Trio, you don't want the Duck Trio to potentially crit Rock Slide out on the switch in. So we're just going to let the Electabuzz go. And there I said flying Gyarados. We're going to read the Lapras switch in with a T-Bolt that is rewarded heavily with a crit. This is a giant momentum swing for FC here. So they're for sure in the lead here. Lapras is going to tank a second T-Bolt and get one off. It is going to be a dead Lapras, though. FC is probably very happy with that trade, especially if they have, say, an Articuno in the back. Kangaskhan's going to come finish off the Gyarados. I wonder if that critical hit mattered. I don't think Kangaskhan kills Gyarados at 32 with a slam. Does not kill. So that critical hit did matter, because FC could have gotten a Hydro Pump off, and that would have been further advantage. But Shell was most likely scared of them taking advantage of a Hyper Beam with the switch in. Though there's not many Pokemon in the tier that can really take advantage of that switch in. Because, like, let's say you bring in a Lapras or a Kangaskhan. If either of those get crit, that can be a huge setup for Kangaskhan, and you can take one hit incoming. You could get slept by, say, the Lapras, but then that frees up your other mons to not be able to get slept, and your Lapras is huge chipped, which is going to be a great setup for Dugtrio. But that slam did not get punished because of the critical hit. And now the Hypno comes in. So this is where it gets shaky because Kang's putting on a lot of pressure on FC's backbone of the team now. Yeah, we're going to see the pair come through. Is the Kang's going to be unanswered? We're going to fish for a Hypnosis here. 60% through pair, which thankfully does not get rewarded. So Hypno is terribly damaged, and Shell's King is just currently breaking numbers through FC's team. We are going to see the Sing come through and not get landed again. Hypno and Lap are very down for the count. We're seeing a repeat of last game where Hypno and Lap are just going down to not themselves. So Shell's getting a lot of advantage. None of these sleeps are being rewarded. We have clicked it 3 or 4 times and not a single one has landed. Very unfortunate for FC. Gonna go for the Kangmere. Shell's gonna get a lucky break again here into a kill. So this should realistically be, yeah, FC forfeited. Yeah, that Kang just put in too many numbers to come back from that. Shell is now up 2-0 here in the set. So FC is going to have to win 3 back-to-back if they want to come back from this. We're going to see Game 3 if FC is able to make some moves. We are going to see that Dodrio lead come out trying to punish the Electabuzz lead. Show is going to change it up there and bring in Dodrio. Now, this is definitely a Dodrio favored matchup, but it's also not necessarily that bad for Dodrio, and it can be scary. If you get one Rock Slide crit, this can instantly switch. But we're going to see what happens here. So the Haunter is going to come in on the Dodrio. Now, for those unaware, because Dodrio is a normal type attacker, however, the strength of its Drill Peck, a critical hit Drill Peck will absolutely just one-hit KO this Haunter. So when you see this lead matchup, you typically switch out and are scared of Haunter. So if you're bringing it in, to me, this is a very telegraphed pivot. As Haunter, you are not going to stay in here and risk a Drill Peck and just losing a Pokemon, in my opinion. You're not going to fish for sleep here. So I think FC is 100% going to bring in another Pokemon after. So if Shell punishes that, we'll see it. Because at the same time, if you do click Slam again and FC reads it, you get a sleep. But I do think the risk reward is a little bit in Shell's favor here. We're going to see. So FC does do a beautiful pivot here, brings in the Electabuzz. So it's now on the front foot here, though has revealed a good bit of team knowledge. Let's see how Shell answers. Does read that Electabuzz is going to predict the switch out. So great play from Shell. Now the Hypno is going to come. We've got some significant damage. FC is going to read the Dugtrio again, gets a slam, but does pair the Hypno. So it definitely works out anyway in FC's favor. Going to go ahead and sacrifice the Electabuzz. I do wonder about sacrificing the Electabuzz because we still have Dodrio in play, and FC has Dugtrio and Haunter, so I think Electabuzz might have been worth keeping. Or at the very least, you can use it as a sleep sack, so something else doesn't have to. But we are going to let the Electabuzz go. Lapras is going to come in, and is Shell going to click Sleep, I wonder? Okay, just going to go for a safe pair. So this is going to help break through the Lapras a good bit, and Shell most likely has another Sleeper in the back to get that later on. That special drop is going to be very big. We're going to get lots of significant damage from the Lapras. FC is not going to want to risk it, though. I'm going to go Hypno. Don't want too much damage on your Lapras. Does get another special drop, though. This Hypno Psychics are putting in a good bit of work. Vitribell is going to come in to punish the Hypno with Sleep. Lapras dodges. Ooh. We're predicting a switch out, which I think makes sense. We've already seen earlier in the game, FC is making these very, very risky pivots. So we try to punish it this time. But this time, FC is not going to use the pivot and is just going to read it with a Blizzard. So we're having some very good play here. The Vitribell is going to eat a Blizzard for this. All right, and we are going to see Shell get the Sleep Powder this time. He's been predicting the Haunter switch in throughout this interaction because Haunter is a good switch in the Razor Leaf, which he thinks that FC is expecting. But now we are going to see that land through. So both players are playing very solidly here. FC is going to stay in on the Razor Leaf, fishing for a wake up. Shell's going to bring in the Kangaskhan to threaten it with Earthquake. This can be very scary for FC. There's not really a great switch in for two Kangaskhan here. It is going to be a little better because we are expecting Earthquake, which is just very much okay for Shell to click here. You don't really want to slam because Haunter could just stay in and fish again, and then you're very far behind. You're going to EQ. But this is very scary for the Hypno, and we're going to see Shell apply some pressure and get another para. But at the last moment of Hypno's life, we are going to get a sleep through here. So this is very huge for FC. Kangaskhan would have had a ton of advantage going through, but we still have the Dodrio to apply more pressure. So we're going to fish for the wake up here. And realistically, there's not going to be a great opportunity for any more sleep to happen. So I think you can, in Shell's case, you can just let the sleep sack die. We are going to bring in Vitribell here, predicting a switch in, I suppose. Going to go and Razor Leaf into the Haunter again. We're giving Haunter some chances to wake up. Yeah, Shell is going to try to punish that, but FC is going to make a good pivot over to Lapras. I'm curious if FC T-bolted here as the mid ground or just went for damage in Blizzard. Okay, we went for damage in Blizzard. That got punished very hard. I think T-bolt was very safe here, but that is just me. Though Vitribell could have eaten it, but if Vitribell does eat it, I think you can just go back to Haunter and play through that sequence again. We are going to go for Blizzard, and now Shell's going to get more damage off on the Lapras. SC's team is getting very chipped here. Dodrio is getting in a very good position to win. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Worst case scenario, you hit the T-bolt, you just play through this scenario again. And Haunter is going to get the wake up. We are going to go ahead and now go for the damage. Dodrio does live, though. Going to go ahead and value the Haunter over the chipped Hypno. Gives Dodrio a good moment to come through here. Are going to fish for Substitute. Guaranteed slash KO. It's interesting that this is slash. Recently, Dodrio has been running a lot of Earthquake, Rock Slide, Sand Attack sets. It's a very fishy set, but it can get a lot of high value. Slash was the old standard EQ Rock Slide slash sub. Slash is consistent damage because Rock Slide does have the mischance and is the highest damage against Tangela, who hasn't been seen as much. But we are going to see the slash come in now. We're not going to go for the fishy sand attack strategies. Now we're fishing for a Blizz Miss because if we do get a sub up, 2 EQs from Dodrio can be pretty game winning. Are not going to get it though. Do get the critical hit, though, which is very big. What is FC's last, and can it take advantage of this? All right, so Raichu is going to come in, which looks very good into this scenario. But what is the last? And the last is Kangaskhan, which does make a lot of sense. Most people would have predicted it there. And that is going to have a very strong scenario here. Uh, Yeah, it is going to have a very strong scenario because we can slam some EQs into the right true. Yes, we do have the Victory Bell, but even if that KOs the Kangaskhan, Haunter can come in and should be able to win this. We're going to get the critical hit and the para, and that's going to seal the Raichu away. So FC should have this in the bag with the Haunter. So even a worst case scenario, this Kangaskhan does nothing. Haunter's most likely just going to win. And we see it die anyway. So there should be a GG, and FC's going to barely close out this game 3 here at the last moment with Kangaskhan. The capital GG. Not intended, but is funny. Yeah, FC really clutched that one out with the Kangaskhan. We're going to see if that same momentum is going into game 4. Going to see Rapidash in the Clefable. This is definitely a pretty nice lead to have in the Clefable because critical hits and the like can get some really strong damage on Clefable. And if the Clefable is going for Sing, you can easily miss a couple of those and just die, and you waste a whole mon. In this case, we're going to get the burn as well. The Sing is going to make it through, though, so Clefable did do its job. Typically, you're applying pressure with Body Slam, but now you're burned, so you're just going to go for Blizzard here. Are going to get a crit, so we're not going to give the Rapidash multiple chances to wake up. And the Body Slam is going to come through, trying to fish for pair on the predicted switch in. Does not get it, though. Yeah, we're chipping away this Clefable because of burn damage, and we don't really want to risk the Hypno taking some significant damage or pair. We're going to go ahead and let the Rapidash die, which will give FC a chance later on to get some sleep going. The Kangaskhan is going to miss Hyper Beam, though, and instead of going for the consistent Thunder Wave option, that would have been great in this scenario, we go for Sing for the maximum reward, and it is rewarded. So we get a huge swing here with Sing coming through. Going to apply more damage with Blizzard. Clefable's about done in the set. And we got some good damage on Hypno. So this Clefable did a ton of work. We are going to keep it as a sack for later. Shell is able to get the sleep off on the Hypno. Still definitely behind because of that Clefable. Here, I personally like going for Psychic since you've already got one drop. It is still a little bit less damage than S-Toss, but with more special drops, I think it is just higher value, and you have potential to win this quicker. The damage isn't that different. You're mostly trying to get Hypno to that 47 range, and you've already gotten Sleep down, which is most likely. You're going to get more turns than that. But we are going to go for the S-Toss consistent damage. Hypno down to 33. So now Hypno is about down for the game. Are we going to keep it as a sack? We are. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the Clefable instead. But we do get a pair, so Clefable is able to get another attack on the board. Going to go ahead and take up the Kangaskhan. So now Lapras is going to have a chance to get sleep later for FC. Shell is just throwing away these sleep sacks willy-nilly. Dutcher is going to come in to punish the Electabuzz. FC's been throwing out a lot of body slams, so we're going to see if one goes through. Does not this time, because FC hasn't been getting a lot of reward off those predicted slams. So I think Dutcher is pretty fine here. Gonna go and double back to Gyarados to punish whatever switches out from Electabuzz. Very strong. Free Blizzard here or whatever, but the Blizzard does not go through. Very unfortunate show was not rewarded for what was a good play. I do wonder if Slam might have been, like Slam was also an option and is more consistent, but at the same time, if Dragonite stays in, the 10% difference shouldn't have mattered that much, so Blizzard was a fine play. Just did not happen to work out. Hypno's going to come in as a safe switch into Electabuzz, is going to get a move off. Dodrio is going to come in predicting the T-Wave and unfortunately eats a Psychic for its troubles. We are going to put up a substitute predicting the switch in, and we're going to go for some critical hit Rock Slides here. Does not get a crit on the first try. We're going to stand and go for another one. We are, but Shellnuts is going to go ahead and throw away the Hypno, not wanting to risk that scenario, which is fair enough. Going to bring in Lapras. Not going to get a crit this time either, so the X-Ray is going to go down, but they get some significant chip on the board. Electabuzz is in a pretty good spot overall. While the Dugtrio is here, if this Dugtrio can get handled, then Electabuzz can do a lot of work here. Going to go ahead and slam predicting the Dugtrio, but Shellnuts reads. FC's been doing a lot of slams with this set. and got punished for the last one. So Slam was pretty obvious here and gets a critical hit. Doju's going to come in, but is going to eat a para. So we're going to go ahead for the double, which I do think Slam was definitely FC's best play here, because if this scenario happens, you just opened up the game immensely. I think if you T-bolt and the Electabuzz dies, you kind of lost your win con, so you have to go for Slam here, and it is going to work out. Dutro is going to get paired, so Dragonite's going to come in to punish that. Getting a lot of pressure on this team. Dutrio's about down for the count, so Electabuzz should have an easy sweep here. I think that Slam just sealed FC game 4. Gonna go and sack the Hypno, very fine. Electabuzz should just win out here. T-Bolt guaranteed kill, and this is gonna put Lapras at least so that might does that kill? Yeah, it doesn't quite kill, but literally anything fast would go into work. We go ahead and fish for a Sing. I'm probably going for Sing into rest just to try to come back, but that was most likely not happening. So FC has managed to clutch this back up to a 2-2 scenario. Let's see what happens this game 5. FC is going to bring out the Haunter lead, and Shell's going to bring the Buzz lead. Seems to be the comfort pick, so I think game 5 you just want to bring something you're comfortable with. You know, you don't want to bring something that you end up messing up on the last game of the set. So we're going to bring the comfort pick. Haunter's going to come in. This is one of the better matches, I think, for Haunter to run into, because you do have a pretty decent shot of getting sleep off the bat. We are going to go for Psychic straight damage first. In my opinion, the typical line is you T-Wave first and then go for damage, kind of similar to an Alakazam into Jinx matchup in OU, because I think it gives you the most chance of Haunter not getting a sleep off. But ultimately, it's not going to go punish because the Hypnosis is going to land. We're going to go for the T-Wave now. And the Haunter is going to completely fall this game 5. Not a single thing happened from that Haunter, so FC now just has to play a 5v6. The Golem is going to come in here. I wonder if Golem could have came in. Well, okay. Maybe this is why we mixed up the turn order here, because Shellnuts was predicting that FC would go aground, so wanted to punish it. And then turn 2, when it wasn't revealed, hit the T-Wave. And you can't really comfortably go Golem because you might just Psychic again. So I see why this ended up the way it did. But Golem is going to come in now to threaten the Electabuzz, and Dragonite's going to come in. Is it going to come in on the EQ, or is it going to eat a Rock Slide or Slam? It is going to eat a Rock Slide. Now, if that did crit, then it would have been a dead Knight, and this would have been a more even scenario, but Golem's crit rate is pretty low. I believe Golem's crit rate is 8.79%, so most likely not getting that. So FC is still definitely behind, but that does even things up a considerable bit. Lapras is going to come in to eat the Blizzard. Shellnuts is not going to threaten anything more major. Going to go and trade for damage, which does work out because FC tries to predict the switch out of the T-Bolt, but does not pay off. So this Lapras is going to eat a significant amount of damage for this. Big deal in UU at the moment. There's a lot of weird 50-50s like this that can completely flip the tide. So FC is getting back into the game here. Going to go ahead and bring Dragonite in. We want to preserve the Lapras, we've determined. Lapras going to eat the pair instead. We're preserving the Kangaskhan. I think this is definitely better play. Shell also tried to read the switch out with the Thunderbolt, but it does not work. Doesn't matter that much, though, because the Dragonite full paired, so we are going to see the Dragonite fall. Now FC does have the advantage speed-wise, but is going to try to bring the Lapras back up to health and try to even this game back up. It's not going to pay off too much, though, because Lapras is just not going to be able to burn those sleep turns. No full pairs on Shell's side. Hypno's going to come in to take care of the Lapras. I wonder if... So a lot of players would have clicked Sing here just for further advantage. We are through pair, though, so the less greedy option is to just go for damage here. Going to go and click Blizzard. Not going to get much damage, though, because of the special drop. So Electabuzz is going to come in as the switch and gets punished by the Golem, but we do get a para off on it. So I'll say this play here did work. We came in as the Electabuzz, baited in the Golem, and got the para. So this Golem is very neutered now. Shell was probably predicting that Golem was going to predict the switch in with like a Rock Slide or something, so wants to get free damage. But this Golem is definitely down for the count here. It's going to have a hard time getting much done unless Shell has a Dodrio in the back. Which I wonder, based on the way he's playing this, if he wanted to get that pressure on to open up Dodrio to finish the game. Going to get another special drop, so Hypno's been denying Lapras a lot of damage, but we're still in the 42 range, so we're in Kangaskhan death percent. We are going to get Golem on the Hyper Beam. We do read that, but it misses. That is going to be huge for the set. That could have been a huge momentum swing, get a boom off, whatever the last is. FC could have come back, but it's not going to get punished, so Golem is instead just going to eat attack. And we full pair on what's presumably an explosion turn. That's going to swing the set considerably back further to Shellnuts' favor. And the end is going to be Kadabra, which is going to get O-code by a Hyper Beam. Do we get a crit? We do not. And now he outspeed and kill Hypno. So unless something disastrous happens, it does not. Kangaskhan cleans up the set for Shell. Got a little shaky the last 3 games, but Shell is able to close out the set with a strong